celebrated event of Library Week, and we've been, since Friday last week, we've been celebrating South African Library Week all out over South Africa. And today is no different from any other province and institution celebrating Library Week. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm sorry for the inconvenience of running a little bit late, but we had a few technical glitches. Uninvited birthday. My name is Laura Ackerman. I'm the Deputy University Librarian from the Central University of Technology. And I've been a long-standing member of the RSL, also the Free State branch. So I think we've had many Library Week celebrations. So, but that should not take away from today's celebrations. First of all, I would like to give over to Moses. Are you ready? A word of welcome from our chair-elect, Mr. Moses Ntorwani at the Mountain campus. Over to you, Moses.
I hope you can all hear me. South African libraries have a deep-rooted tradition of celebrating Library Week each year. And today, the 23rd of March, 2023, we are converging at different venues across the state as LIASA, Free State branch members, to celebrate inside the 2023 Library Week. I therefore wish to welcome EXCO members, REDCO members, any rep from National Office, the Free State Branch Executive Committee members, the Speaker of the Day, Dr. Margaret Madubako, the Poet of the Day, Mrs. Ntabisen Japta, members or people whose powerful stories will be live streamed, those that will join the event at CAT, Welcome Campus, at UFS, Concord Campus, at Tabancho Public Library Hall, and those who will join in person at UFS Sasol Library. I wish to welcome you all colleagues, and then I want to say, I hope that you will enjoy the glitz and glamour of this event, and thank you very much for attending. I'm handing over to you, the program director. Thank you.
Thank you, Moses. Everybody could see on those who are
earlier as well.
Okay, Moses, just remember to mute your mic, please. Then the next person that I would like to introduce is Mr. Zita Mankola. Oh, I thought she disappeared. Beta is a professional librarian with over 10 years of experience in academic library sections. And she's the Assistant Director of Research and Scholarly Communications at the Sasol Library, where we are gathered here today, are part of the University of Free State. And I also would like to mention that she was the inaugural recipient of the Nevada Emerging Librarian of the Year 2022-2023. So over to you, Nambita, to present to us the purpose of the day. Thank you.
Oh, morning, colleagues. I'm quite off that as usual, but I'm gonna be short as my size. And those that are here, we only see my half card. So I feel like I'm in home affairs. I'm just here to shoot my half card. Nevertheless, I'm here to do the purpose of the day. The purpose of the library week is the honor libraries, librarians, and the communities. We engage with the communities in promoting the value of libraries, in fostering lifelong learning, literacies, and social development. In addition, it is a chance for us to raise awareness about the significance of libraries through promotion of literacy and reading culture in our society. Highlighting the role of libraries in communities showcase the work of librarians as a profession in our community, showcasing the work of library professionals, how libraries have embraced the fourth industrial revolution and support the SDGs. As we celebrate Library Week in 2023, under the theme Libraries Telling Powerful Stories. This year, the focus will be libraries telling a good story. We honor librarians as unsung heroes. And telling their stories, unfabricated stories for the first time. Hoping the stories that you're going to listen to today, they will inspire you to tell your own story. As you notice, libraries keep the stories of other people, the books. Now we are having a first hand, that is why I was saying unfabricated stories. Now I want to leave this podium with a question. It might be silly, or it might not. In the olden days, when I'm sure they used to tell the stories, did we preserve those stories? I don't know, I'm not sure. But now I'm asking to each and everyone who attended here, since we are celebrating those unsung, untold stories, are we ready to preserve those stories for future generations to come? That's, as you are listening, I want you to think about that. Yes, we celebrate, we told stories, but are we ready to preserve those stories? By doing so, we will be embracing our fourth industrial revolution, because Gen Z are into technology, I think.
Thank you very much. There has been a small change in the program. I've been requested to introduce to you Ms. Daviseng Yafta, who will be doing a poetry session for us today. I've received a fairly long bio, a very impressive Ms. Yafta. She's an international performing poet, writer, author, translator, publisher, library book distributor, festival curator, and a virtual planner. She's also an entrepreneur, and a creative strategist from South Africa, and of course, born in Bloemfontein, where else? And then she's also an elected deputy president of NWASA, the National Writers Association of South Africa. So without any further ado, over to you, Ms. Yafta. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. Let the people online also sees you. I think it's a beautiful opening of the phone. Let the people online also sees you. Majume, amatle. Ikare ke o bona mohlang ho. Mohlamoneng. Mekgabo ya ba sotho o ipepesitse thethana thekali dutse matswele se ka dithaba e mepepeneneng. Baye shwe ka se shwe se tenne mepale metahakalo siana marena yona kubo ya bophadi. Fielo ale thathe moseme ya o lophe a retse bona modianyewe a imametse pela mehala di palesa tsa nahe. Aso ke sebo go mmangwana hae a feleditswe ke nkgono wa tsona dipopolo le diplwana. Aba o ka ba seng ba fitile le go le bongata tla matsholo mohlodi wa mahodimo le mafatshe ho ba le fihlile ka jeno tsa tsile go mo tlo a ipopolang e bila ga ba ka boikgantsho ba seo a leng sona. Tsetswa mantsho ngana ntshwana tsa tsi ba re mmao ke mobu tao ke pele. Tlhompho e be dijo tsa moya lerato le pele pelong tsa botlhe botho e be mantletse hela ngwana mobu ka jeno o entse taba mehlaphe ya ntate ka sakeng hoba wena o bile modisa wa nnete setsa bonano botjhaba re tla ithuta ho tswa ho wena mma Basotho. She took her time to open her brown bag, a stylish design look-alike mag. She carries it with such character. I think she's an actor, a movie star on Everyday Life created since, or a model on Everyday Life ran. Streets so long, filled with events, and at time, she's a star rose. At night, let her go. The lady in shining gold shoes, Miss Selector on the deck is mixing the song for you, so dance, the flower sister. The stage was ready-made for you while you edit, flaunt your brownness, your womanness, the beauty that resonates, your ancestry locked in your soul. So take your time. Take your time in telling those powerful stories because at the end of the day, you are the one who needs to own them. Blessings.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Then another person I'm very privileged to present today and who will also be the speaker for the day is Dr. Margaret Matapaku. She's married woman and is blessed with children and grandchildren, even though you won't see. So that you look at her. She looks so beautiful today. Her core skills is that what she acquired was during the Carnegie Library Leadership Academy and the Nzansi online training. And I have to double task, okay? Facilitated by the University of Victoria, the National Library of South Africa, as well as the ASA. She's acquired her doctorate degree, the Doctor of Literature and Philosophy degree in Information Science in 2001 at UNISA. And she has been part of the Bangalore Municipality, working there since 1990. But since 2008, she's up till today. She is the coordinator, coordinating 5 public libraries. She's also a well quoted author. She has published not less than 4 articles already. She's also presented at conferences and several presentations at the ASA branches. So it gives me a great honor to acknowledge Dr. Margaret today here. So thank you very much for bringing your stories to us today. So without any further ado, over to you. Thank you so much.
much more advanced ChatGPT. But when you look at the curriculum now as it stands, ask yourself, will our students be ready? The answer I always pose to students all the time is, I think what you're doing now would be relevant in 5 or 10 years' time. Then they shy away, even staff themselves. So what we're trying to do now is we're trying to introduce modules because programs, they take a while to introduce. For example, having a data kind of like analytics, kind of like module. First year, all students do it, whether they're doing psychology, philosophy, engineering, or health science, it doesn't matter. You have to do that module so that you can help our students to understand the importance of new technology or how they can make contributions in their life. Then we move to the staff as well, because if you talk about future of work in this day and age, you always have to ask yourself that the skills that our staff have now, will they be relevant in 5 years or 10 years' time? The answer is no most of the time. So what are we doing to make sure that our staff are relevant? We introduce modules like data science for our staff. Now they're doing introduction to sort of like programming at basic level, not advanced, so that they can understand as to what computing, programming, statistics is all about. So that's the stuff that we are currently doing. But in a bigger kind of like picture, I believe that it's high time we introduce programs like BSc in AI. I mean, there's no university that offers that in South Africa, which is a shame. I'm not sure about it in Africa. BSc in big data analytics, something like that, because those are the things that our students will be able to apply at a later stage. I'm sure the other panelists will agree with me that as it stands now, the only contribution they can make is through masters and PhD students through their projects that they do. That's the only experience they get in AI or other kind of like skills that are relevant in terms of running all this new technology that we're talking about here, or state of the art kind of like technology. So for me, it's important that we start little and then go big. For both staff and students, not just students. I insist on that because we always forget about even our own staff. They need to be equipped with the right skills so that they can be able to deal with these things moving on. Because that's where we're moving now. 5 years or 10 years from now, you may find that what I'm doing now is irrelevant. So I need to keep on upskilling and reskilling our staff and also making sure that our programs are relevant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I just comment on that? I think the elderly staff, and I'm in that category, so I can speak openly. I think they're the ones who are most intimidated because they don't understand it and feel perhaps a bit threatened by it. So I think perhaps there could be special courses for the more senior staff members, just to make them understand that it's there to be used in a constructive way, and perhaps help, let them view the seminar and listen to the talks just to see all the positive aspects that can come out of it. It's not, I think the younger people will catch on very quickly and realize the advantages. So I think universities have got lots of work to do with the older staff. Thank you. All right, let's carry on going through the list here. There's a question about IP. The question is, what about IP? I'm assuming the question implies that if you generate something using ChatGPT and publish it, what's the relevance about IP? And I see Susan Felton is going to answer this question live. So let's move on, and there'll perhaps be a discussion about that a little bit later.
Sorry,
would you like to answer it now, Susan?
Sorry, I'm just sort of managing all the questions here from my side, so my intention wasn't really to answer it. I'm a little bit unclear because it's not a full sentence, and maybe again the anonymous attendee can just perhaps put it in full sentence. But I think is being asked is what about intellectual property rights? In terms of this, but now in some sort of indirect way it has been answered, because these robots or bots then actually harvest the information. Yes, it is actually a very good question. What about intellectual property rights, etc. But it does seem that there are some loopholes, that it's a very invasive sort of practice of protecting intellectual property rights. I don't really particularly have an answer, and I can pass it over to my colleagues on the panel. But those are just my very first quick ideas about the question.
Yeah. Would anyone else like to have a quick shot at it before we move on? Because we still have a couple of questions to get through in our allocated time.
I can take a quick stab at it. I need to tell you that it's a complicated matter. And it's going to remain a complicated matter because, you know, software has been around for what, 50, 60, 70 years. And the whole question about IP and software hasn't really been sorted out from a legal perspective. So the only thing I can say is that it's an urgent matter that needs to be dealt with properly. But if I look at what's happened with software, I'm not overly optimistic that we're going to resolve this in the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah. Well, I'm just seeing it's like the complexity is increased because just say I, as an author, use ChatGPT to access information and incorporate it into a paper that I publish. When I publish the paper, I've got to sign the IP over to the journal that's publishing it. So now the journal sits with the IP for something that I was a conduit for from ChatGPT. So it does have complexity. I don't think there's a single simple answer for it. The next question is an interesting one. Will ChatGPT drive the visibility distance between open access and reader pays journals? So in brackets, a knowledge economy question. I think my understanding of the question, and you can correct me if I'm understanding it incorrectly. My understanding of the question is that there's two streams of journals, open access journals, and journals that have come, sort of the legacy journals, and you usually have to pay to read those papers. Already there's a gap developing between those two types of journals. And I think the question talks to whether that gap is going to broaden. Maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but please, would someone like to have a shot at that answer here?
Of journals, it's an interesting one because one of the days where we just publish without having to pay fees. But it appears to me that most of the journals now you have to pay, whether it's open access or not. I mean, it doesn't matter. So I don't think the impact of ChatGPT will be that huge in terms of that because I'm not sure why has that been the case because open access, I know that it used to be the ones that they're charging fees. But even now, other journals they are, especially, I mean...
Recording stopped.
In high impact factor journals.
Recording in progress.
They've been sort of like doing. So I don't think it will have a huge impact. I don't know what the other parties think about it.
So I think maybe studying when you do your master's and I was alone, I didn't have anybody to help me by then. It was also a distraction, and then by the grace of God, I managed to pass that. And then I decided that, but why can't I do my PhD because I'm already there? And then I spoke with my supervisor, and then he said to me, no, you can do it. And then I was interested in the knowledge commons, because I believe that knowledge commons, if you read, they are also only in the academic libraries, but the public libraries, we don't have them. Then that's where I decided that I am going to study the knowledge commons in the public libraries, but my population, target population, was the Mpumalanga district municipality, where I select libraries that participated in the Mzansi Libraries Online country grant, because I was one of the recipient of the Mzansi Libraries Online when we started. And I can tell you that it was a very good experience, because the hotel that we were staying, I think it was content, but it's fine. I will share that story. Yeah, because every time the lights will be off, and then you feel like somebody is on you, you will not know what's happening. And then when they show us the footage, then you find that there's a shadow of something, but then we were told not to say anything in the stuff, but it was fine. And then we were supposed to go there every month to spend a week there. It was a trauma. But actually we learned a lot from the Mzansi Libraries Online. So then I went to Mpumalanga. It was not easy, because now I was supposed to study 10 libraries, which are located in 10 towns. We'll say towns, yeah. Then I use Bethlehem as my central point. That's where we're sleeping. Then we'll go to Memel, because if I go to Memel from within 5 hours, then it was not easy. Then you have to come back from Memel, you have to go to, and then remember that time COVID was just around the corner. And then I was also even struggling to get the respondents by that time. I remember going to Memel. It's a beautiful library. And it's the information hub. I think it's the central hub of the whole town, because even people who are coming from the farm will come to the library. Then there was nobody. Then suddenly people came, with energy. Then I thought, okay, now I'm happy. Then they were listening to me, because now I have to do the questionnaire and I have to do the interview. I have to interview them. I also have to interview the officials. Then, okay, then I gave them the questionnaires, and then explained to them everything. They fill the consent form and everything. While I was still busy with the officials, now with the interviews, those people finished with the questionnaire, but it was just sitting. I don't know why these people sitting there. Then I went to them, thank you very much. No, they were just sitting. Then I asked, why are they sitting? No, actually, for them to come to the library, we promised them that after filling in this questionnaires, you'll give them 200 each. And they were 20. I was like, oh, I get 2,000. So they were sitting there. Then I said, but I cannot pay you, because then if I pay you, then the research also is not authentic, it's not valid. I'm not supposed to pay the respondents. So now the librarian was laughing, and then she was supposed to talk to them, because they were serious. They were angry now, because now that it was a false promise. Then they left. Then unfortunately, I couldn't interview them because they were angry. So now that library didn't have any interviews from the respondents. It was only the interviews from the library officials. Then also I went to the eastern side also. I think it was fixed back for respect. There wasn't any water there. I said, guys, how do you survive? There wasn't any water. So you have to buy your own water. And then you are there from 8 o'clock when they open until 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. And you are hungry. Now, another challenge was my questionnaire, and everything was in English. They said to me, no, unfortunately, you have to translate it in Sesotho. So now you have to translate them. And then it was not easy for me. Then I think there was a time where now we were supposed to go back to this libraries now to collect the questionnaires. It's another trip. We didn't have now clean clothes with my husband, because my husband was there. Fortunately, he was working in the Mpumalanga district now. At least you could allocate to say to me, you know what, this is the central point, let's go there. So now we have to move from Harrismith to Senegal and go back again to Poloru, yeah, Allen Ridge, and then go back again to Bethlehem. And then we have to go back to Ritz, go back to Bethlehem, where we're sleeping, and then go back again. Yeah, it was, I spent a lot of money and I didn't have any funding. Everything was coming out of me. I was supposed to buy even the recorder for the interview. So it was not easy, but it was fun after that. And then when we came back, I think that week, when was the restriction started on the 27th or 26th? I think we came back on the 25th, not the 26th. Everything was closing now. When we came back and then we arrived by the grace of God. So now for me, COVID was an opportunity because now while I was at home, while everything was restricted, I was not going to work. Then it was time for me now to do the data analysis. I think it worked for me. For that time that if the whole world was standing still, I was working at home. We were supposed now to translate from Sesotho again to English, again now to look for somebody else now to do to reduce that. I think it was about 98 pages, Prof was looking for 40 pages. Now that guy said to me, no, you give 5,500. Then I paid 5,500. Then after that, now I was supposed to do now the questionnaire also on the other side. I had to pay 7,000 for data analysis for that. And then after that, I have to pay something for proofreading and also editing. It was another 10,000. You enjoy the degree, but at the end of the day, you become broke. You don't have any money. But at the end of the day, I managed to pass. But before that, Prof said to me, okay, now you are ready, you can submit. Then when I was supposed to submit, they said to Prof, no, but your student didn't register. And then it was 2021, yes. Then they said, no, since the last time your student registered, it was in 2018. Then Prof asked me, tell me, did you register for 2021? I said, yes. I said, no, but you can't get any report of me. Luckily, because I'm a librarian, we preserve, we saw everything. I said, but I have everything since 2018. Then he said, send it straight to the head of department. Because now they can't get any report of me. So if I didn't have any evidence, because now they were even also suggesting that Prof has to be changed because now I'm not a student of the municipal. And remember, I'm finished. I have to submit. They cannot send me a link. So now, fortunately, they realized and then they apologized to Prof that, okay, it was a mistake. He was very angry. Now you have to wait again now for the examiners to do that. And then when it comes back, if they say, pass with addition, you say, I know. Because if they can say fail, then everything, you have to start from the scratch. So luckily, they were suggesting that I should also do even the articles out of that. And then it was only the addition, then I did that, then I waited again. Then one day, this guy phoned me, hi, are you Margaret Matubaba? Yes, okay, I'm looking for your supervisor. Then I thought, he's talking about my supervisor at the municipality. I said, oh, you want the email address of our name? But no. I said, but she's my supervisor. Then something came up, okay, what supervisor are you talking about? But no, your supervisor from MISA. I said, oh, then I gave him my supervisor. Then I was curious and afraid. I said, okay, why do you want the email of my supervisor? He said, no, man, it's regarding your results. Then I said, okay, I'm not going to ask you any further. And then 2 minutes after that, Prof also sent me a message. Oh, congratulations, Mrs. Dr. Matubaba. Then I said, wow, I couldn't believe it. Because really, it was not easy. But I can say to people who are still studying, just do it. It's doable. If I managed to finish it, you also can do it. And if you realize now our profession is becoming a scare profession, people, they believe that we are longer in their radar. They think that technology is solving the libraries, but you know, technology is not solving us. That's why I feel sad when we are celebrating this library week and we are not making any noise. And even in July, we don't also make noise when there is such a librarians day of that. But we should try. You know what I'm doing now? I'm working with the police. When they have their own campaign to talk about crime, I just show up with my finger to say, librarians, you know, if you want to move away or don't want to do the crime, go to the library. So that at least somebody should know that we are existing as libraries. It doesn't matter what type of library, but we are existing. So I just want to share, I think I will need help from my colleague here. Okay, I spoke about the transformation that we had as libraries. Because now we saw the dying or the demise of apartheid and also the birth of democracy as libraries. And we are still undergoing the rapid transformation to meet the mandate of building and sustaining literate, knowledgeable, tech-savvy, and informed technologies. That's why now I was asking for the space here, and then she said it's leisure. Yes. Leisure reading. Yeah, we call it reading space. As you can see, we don't have those old desks that we used to have in the libraries. So you can see that at least the libraries are going somewhere ever since 1761. I think it was 1761 when we received the donation up until now, 2023. This is what the library looks like. I'm amazed to see this beautiful. I think we are with color. So, now, the value of libraries of public libraries, if we check the mission of the Free State Library Services, they want to develop literate, reading, and informed communities. And I think we are there, because before the student can come to the academic libraries, they must be informed or be literate. So I think public libraries are playing a very important role while we are celebrating the stories that we share. And then I think we are also a legacy to all the nations, because even when it comes to inequality, we are still also bridging that gap, because everybody's allowed to come to the libraries. Okay, I know that in the academic libraries, I don't know here, but when I was still with the Carnegie Academy, when we were doing the leadership academy, they took us to Pretoria, and there was a level where they were only allowing the masters and PhD students because they didn't want any descent from other people. But rather than that, we don't practice inequality in the libraries. And then we are also offering the heritage of the past, and then we are promised to the future. I know we are not yet there with the robotics and the coding and the smart libraries, especially as the public librarians, but we are also there. And she was also saying that we don't want to embrace technology, but we are coming. Then public libraries in the 21st century are important, and I believe that we are relevant. That's why we have to tell people that that must be our story, to say that we are relevant now. Before even, remember that we are coming from where we used to have the subscribed library, but now we have public libraries, we have dual purpose. Now we are talking about dual purpose, where we combine now the community library together with the school library, and then the community can come and access information from the school library. And then we all know that public libraries in the midst of, we are in the midst of transformation and a dramatic change. When I'm saying a dramatic change, it's because the public libraries, we are influenced by the politics. And as you can see now, I think when I was at the Aldam Resort, I said we are at the middle crisis especially in the Free. And now you can imagine how public libraries and library officials are affected. That's why I'm saying a dramatic change. And then technology also is influencing how we operate, because we used to have those manual cards, but now we are using computers and at least we are there. And then also technology is also compelling us to rethink in order to retool. We are using the retool our competencies. Also, it gives us an opportunity to reprofile and reinvent ourselves in order to remain relevant. Because when I was listening to her, she is relevant. So we need to do this retooling, rethinking, reinventing so that we can be relevant in her own space. You see now, since 2016, now we experience now the 4th industrial revolution. I'm sure now the academic libraries, they will at least try to cash on this, but we will come, I'm sure, at the last week, public libraries. But at least what is happening now is that the 4th industrial encompasses the changes flowing from modern technology, Web3, AI, artificial intelligence, the 3D printer. Fortunately, the public library here in Bloemfontein, they are also having a 3D printer, and then robotics, especially internet technology, which drives the evolution of how we live, we work, and we learn. And again, it's been building for many years, but just how it will impact the public library is only now becoming apparent. Now, there is this thing of high intelligence capacity. I think most of us, the librarians, we don't have this high intelligence capacity. We are afraid to embrace technology. Remember, we have the BBC, we have now the Millennium, we have Generation Alpha. I was talking about the Generation Alpha, those that were born from 2010. I think it will be up to 2025. Unfortunately, they were born in technology, but their parents are unemployed and qualified. So we need to have that high intelligence capacity so that we can embrace the 4th industrial revolution. Now, we have moved from an era of owning things to an era of accessing things. I think this is for all the types of public libraries. We should speak about the transition of 4th industrial revolution, and we should start now to look for the 5th industrial revolution. I'm sure the public libraries will start there at the 4th industrial revolution. And now they were talking about the library 5.0, which they link it to the humanity, Ubuntu philosophy. I am what I am because of you. You are who you are because of me. And the role of the public librarians changes from knowledge of collection to knowledge of users. We librarians, we have to know our users, because it doesn't matter to know my collection here, but I don't connect with my users. That's where you find that I don't know about the academic librarians, but the librarians in the afternoon, we are not friendly. I don't know why we are like that. Maybe I must visit here in the afternoon, just go to the information desk and look for information and see whether you are friendly. You are not friendly in the afternoon. I don't know why you are so angry in the afternoon. Now, the other thing is that we can receive a large volume of information that we can be used to design better solutions of users. But the experience, I'm sure you'll agree with me, the approach to library physically is diminishing. Luckily, when we look at the statistics, when we check the Mangaung Library municipality, before COVID, there were libraries that you find that the circulation during the month is 19,000 or 18,000 a month. But now COVID also affected them to a level of 5,000. Then you go to other libraries, you find that only 10 people came to circulate books. That is the statistics for the whole. So you can see that somehow people are no longer coming to the libraries, except when they want to study or use the space. These are the knowledge commons. These are good stories to tell. From the traditional to digital. We have now tablets in the libraries, we have space, we even have now the online games, we can play, we can do so many things in the libraries. We are moving from that time of we are making library one-stop shop, where everybody can come and do whatever they want, as long as they are accessing information and sharing information and knowledge. So this is the current library which are relevant to the diverse community of the 21st century. Again, I said we are extending our services from the physical to digital. We are already debating about the future of library centers around paper versus ebook, or physical versus digital, including robotics and coding. We saw the robots when we attended the capacity building workshop. UKS came there to demonstrate. I don't think we will get them anytime soon, the public libraries, because now we have to weigh between the controls and the robots. So the controls, I'm sure, will be better than okay, but luckily we explore the ways in which we enhance the traditional, because we don't want to move away from libraries. So we have Overdrive at the public libraries, where we provide digital contents. And then we also have the Britannica Online, Subnet Online. We also have the open like academic libraries. Now, this fact has created a platform where community interacts with the contents, the technological space, in order to gain context and increase information and knowledge. This is a very good story to tell. This is the page of Overdrive. You can access it on your smartphone. You can access the library at any time in your own comfort space, because we know that people in the executive management don't have time to go to the library. But during your lunchtime, you can just access the library, read book, and then after the period, the book will disappear. I don't know whether it's 2 weeks or a month, but the book will disappear. You can also borrow other books. Then we are talking about spaces. We are no longer talking about the sections. We used to have a reference section. We used to have lending sections, but now we are talking about spaces, because now we are relevant to our communities. So these are the spaces. Whoever thought that in the library will have is it a bin at the back there? No, I'm sure previously it could have been a waste of time, or no, actually expenditure. So now we have this funny, nice, fancy things, even the sofas here. The library are beautiful now. Now we are talking about commons. Commons, Hess and Ostrom says that there are resources that are shared by a community or a group of community. And then also schools, amongst others, and libraries are also falls under the commons, because we share the knowledge with everybody. Now, in the library, we have other services, like now we are also catering for people with visually impaired. Now, it means also now people living with disabilities also have been also considered in the libraries when we do render services. We also have the space where people can only read without being disturbed. We also have the tri-libraries. Within the library, we also have a community hall within the library. There are so many things, teenage space within the library. We also even have the theater, where we can do the puppet story with the children. Now, from library to learning spaces, we call them learning commons. I know that the academic libraries are the ones that are having those learning commons. Public libraries don't have learning commons. But now through my study, I managed to realize that we are also having learning spaces. Now, printed books still play a critical role in supporting users, but digital technologies also offer additional pathway to learning and content acquisition. So instead of just coming to the library, only studying, we realize that there is a lot of unemployment out there. We also want to empower our communities. That's why we are moving from library to learning space. We are becoming now unqualified teachers. Now from traditional learning to learning space. Now you can see there is a session, it's a skills development workshop, and then we even now go to a level of going to school to present whatever we present, to share the information that we had with the learners. We can see this is still, now we are talking about, I think that day it was a read aloud day where we visited the school, and then we will just have to come up with the, not a poet, but an actor or actress. Can go. Yeah. Now, we also use collaboration in the libraries now and knowledge co-construction, because now we are talking about social interaction, which is the construction of shared knowledge. And then collaborative learning is often characterized as a process of co-constructing shared knowledge in which people converge or move towards one point and join together on a shared meaning and representation. Now, libraries are becoming different kinds of learning destination because people reimagine us as open, transparent space that invite the community to communicate, collaborate, and learn. So rather than maintaining a quiet location, the library wanted to create an environment of collaboration and knowledge for-construction. Now here we are, as you can see, in the libraries now, we don't have those DIY, do it yourself, not destroy it yourself. Now we are having maker spaces now. I don't think previously we could even think that people can come to the library and bake and learn how to bake and bake each one. Now, when we talk about the maker spaces, I realized this thing of maker spaces when I was doing the study in that is a space where the do-it-yourself culture is not just implemented, but also further propagated. And maker spaces assist public libraries, or not public libraries, all other libraries to empower communities in terms of socializing, constructing, learning, inventing, collaborating, and sharing of ideas. Now, here are some of the artifacts that these people were creating in the maker spaces, because now in the maker spaces, we have makers who are the users, we have librarians who are the facilitators, and then we have the space as a maker spaces, because now there they are inventing, they are making, they're playing, they're sharing ideas. You see here, they're busy now, these ladies, I think they're making, I think it has to do with sewing. That's why they say a maker space is a collaborative workspace inside a library where users are making, learning, creating, exploring, and sharing amongst other aspects. And then it can use high-tech or no high-tech. Yes, the public library here, they can use 3D, but in libraries that doesn't have that, we can use no tech resources to embrace this maker space. So these are some of the things that these people did. They took the plastic teaspoons or spoons, they cut them, and then they color them, and then they put another tin on top or in the middle, and then they create a candle holder, and then they use a spray. Here they took an empty bottle of 2-liter soft drink. They cut it nicely. They put now the paint inside there, and then they make a pencil holder. And whilst they doing that, they are sharing ideas. They fight, they fail, but they have to realize that this is the process of learning. You see here, they are reading the recipe. Then after that, they will make cakes. Just like in the developed business sector, our library services are changing, and this change is meeting the expectation and needs of our communities. That's why I'm saying we have to celebrate this, because really, we never thought that one day this thing will happen, because from this activity, these people can go out there and make money for themselves, because there is a lot of unemployment. And as you can see now, it's youth. You see what they are doing. I never thought that we will make an ottoman in the library or even a coffee table, but this is what they are doing. Now you can see everybody is watching now. I'm sure after that they will get something to eat. Now, we even go to a level where we collaborate with our stakeholders. Now, this lady went to hospital now, at National Hospital now, to do the storytelling to these children who are having a terminal illness. So we are no longer restricted by the buildings of the library. We can go out there and help the community. Now, the feature of our libraries, when every community member has the potential to carry a global library on the smartphone in his or her pocket, the role of physical library must become even more important. Not just a place to house resources, but one in which to create meaning from them. Because I remember one guy recently said, "Oh, I was shocked that we are coming to the library. I thought that libraries are closed." Then we said, "Why?" And then he asked, "Are you still relevant?" He said, "Yes, but we are open." Then they took him to, they gave him a library tour so that he can see that we are still relevant. So that's why I'm saying advocacy. We have to advocate. We have to make noise. People have to know that we are there and we are helping people, so that when they fight, they are not supposed to come to the library and ban them as a soft target when they fight the municipality. At least they should own the library. They should know that this is where our children are going to get information and knowledge. And we, the public libraries or libraries of the 21st century, provide a welcoming common space that encourages exploration, creation, and collaboration between users and broader community. We bring together the best of physical and digital to create learning hubs. Ultimately, we have to continue to inspire users to construct new knowledge and meaning from the world around them. Now, these are the stories that we can tell. We have book clubs, we do social interactions, we are one-stop shop. You can see these two old people there. They went to the library just to sit on the garden there, just to having a romantic time because they are holding hands. And we can't say, no, but why are you not reading? No, they're just there to relieve stress because they believe that library is a social space and it's a safe space. And if you can see there is a book club, they are reading, they're sharing knowledge. Also, they're just enjoying sitting there and having a cup of tea. That is a very good thing. There is a chairs, and then there is the library officials and community members giving the community now a cup of tea. Because actually, if it was on my own, the libraries would have their own coffee shop. So that when I come with my child in the morning, I don't have to go back home to give my child or myself food. They can just sell, I don't know if that will be allowed, but they can just sell coffee, sandwiches, so that when you go to the library, you do everything there. We don't lose you as a user. Then you go home in the evening. Because we have everything that I have as a user, but now I have to go back home because I'm hungry. But if the coffee shop is there, I can just go to the coffee shop, have a cup of tea, and then go back and study again. Now, how is your library changing now that we are celebrating the stories? In recent years, libraries or public libraries need to examine the trend changes within institutional behavior comprehensively based on these key factors, the people. When I'm talking about the people, I'm talking about the staff and I'm talking about the users, because the staff, most of the time we neglect the staff who are the internal users. We only concentrate on the external users. But if the internal users are not satisfied, what they are producing will not be effective to the external users. Okay, another thing is organization structure. Libraries, it seems as if while we are celebrating, we can also think about restructuring our organization and also the environment that we find ourselves in. It's like maybe when they do the budget allocations, they can think about that environment. And then also the technology, because sometimes we find that, yes, the technology infrastructure is very rich, but the internal users are having restrictions of using those infrastructures. And now, how do we embrace, like she said, we have to embrace them. If I don't know how to use them, I have to know how to use them, be satisfied before I can help or support the external user. I'll only talk about the people. Changing people's mindset is strenuous for any institution in order to embed the fourth industrial wiki trends. The library management needs to influence and instill a belief in their staff that change is not a bad thing. And it's true, change is not a bad thing, it's only a process. And then to change is to survive. For us to survive in the 21st century, in the fourth industrial revolution as librarians, we need to change. But again, what kind of change elements does one want staff to meet the fourth industrial demand? It all depends on the results of the learning within the institution itself. It doesn't matter whether it's an academic or it's a public library. Now, people's behavior, also, we should also consider this, that people's behavior does not change easily, rather change in behavior, especially habitual behavior occurs continuously through a cyclical process. Now, there must be approaches and strategies that needs to be used in an institution so that people can change. And then change must be done in step by step until it reaches the maintenance stage, which is the ideal stage of behavior. And we should remember this. It takes 2 years and above to change people's behavior, while it takes 21 days to change the habit. So on that note, I want to thank especially the SALW Crusade branch for acknowledging me and considering me so that I can come and celebrate the South African Library Week by telling powerful stories about myself and about the transformation and change that are happening in the library. Remember that it is continuous. It's not going to happen today, but it's still going to happen. Thank you very much. Let's celebrate the library.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is that what I saw today is not the public library I went to when I was a little girl and ran up the stairs and collected books there. So thank you. I don't think when we saw you doing your presentation during that healing session, we didn't see any of this. And we didn't realize the impact of what you're doing. So thank you very much. And thank you for sharing your story with us today. It's really inspiring. Yes, I think sometimes us as in academic libraries, we get so engulfed with our own challenges and finances and students and everything else that we forget there is a community out there. So thank you for looking after them and attending to them. The next person, sure, you're going to have a hot task to stop the stories. I'm going to give it over back to Nambita. She's going to stream a few of the powerful stories. So thank you very much, Nambita.
she was able to support me, and I am grateful for everything that she did for me. The library can change our lives in many ways. Now, I'm going to share with you how the library was able to change my life. It was many years ago when I was still a student at Vets University that on this fateful day, thugs broke into my apartment and they stole everything. I needed everything. I was left with nothing. And out of despair, I went to visit my psychologist, and I'm so grateful to the psychologist. She was able to comfort me. She was able to support me, and I am grateful for everything that she did for me. But I of myself, I was left with a deep sense of emptiness. I remember relating the same story to my mother, and she said the following words to me. She said, "Son, they stole things from you. They did not steal your life. You still have your life, and you can still do something with it." Now, when you are hungry and the prophecy comes, you will become activated. And on that day after speaking to my mom, I was activated. I remember going to the library and I went to the fourth floor and I walked straight to this bookshelf. And on the spine, I came across a book titled On the Way to Meaning. Now, I was wondering, where is this way to meaning leading to? And as I opened the book, I read it, and in it was testimonies of South African authors who were talking about how a man called Victor Frankl, his work changed their lives. Now, they were quoting one book that was written by this author titled Man's Search for Meaning. And I went to the library. Fortunately, I was able to come across a copy of Man's Search for Meaning, and I read through this book, and I can tell you it changed the rest of my life. And I could be able to understand why those thieves came into my flat to steal. Because had they not stolen from me, I was not going to have this emptiness. I was not going to have this despair that I needed to feel with something. And when I came across the work of Dr. Frankl in the library, I knew that I had struck gold. Because you have to understand that as a psychologist, I had a duty of having a school of thought. And I had already completed my master's degree, and I didn't have a school of thought. And when I came across the work of Victor Frankl in the library, not taught by anybody, that was when I knew that this was going to be my school of thought. Now, to cut the long story short, I studied this work so much, and at the end of the day, I ended up writing my thesis on the work of Victor Frankl, and I remember the title of my doctoral thesis, Meaning in Life and Life Stress Us. And I wanted to know what is the most significant predictor of academic performance. And I discovered that students with a high sense of meaning, with parental support and good metric results, they are able to survive under all circumstances. Now, I did not stop there. After being inspired by this book that I found in the library, I felt that I also need to contribute something into the library. Now, I went further than more researches, and upon doing a lot of researches, ultimately, I was able to bring all of my research went into one compilation, which I sent to a publisher, and gracefully, my first book was able to be published, titled Find Meaning, Stop Wondering. And this reminded me of what happened, like I said, on that fateful day when these thieves came into my apartment, they stole everything. I was left wondering, and it was upon finding meaning that I stopped wondering. I understood that everything happens for a reason. And I did not stop there. I went further. I want to contribute my second installment to the library. That was when I wrote my book titled Pim the Pain, Purpose-Inspired Dialogues. When life gives you lemons, you have a responsibility to turn those lemons into lemonade. Now, upon conducting my scientific research, I found myself where I also needed to do some of reflection in my life. Because when knowledge gives up, the torch is handed to my faith. And I sat down and I reflected on my life. And that was when I came to discover that there are so many people, especially women, that contributed significantly in my life. And I thought I need to also write something about women and the significant impact that they make into our lives. And that was when I wrote a book titled 70 Women and 1 Man, Meetings with the Remarkable Women. Now in this book is the testimony of all the wonderful things. Each and every great door in my life was opened by a woman. Now my first two books are based on scientific research, but the third book is based more on a spiritual quest. That when knowledge gives up, the torch is handed over to faith. Sometimes we are so much concerned with wanting to know so much about our subject, the research subject, without knowing yourself as the person that you need to conduct personal search about and come to know so much about yourself. And this is the impact that the library had on my life. And I'm so grateful for all of the good things that came on a fateful day when I walked to the library. I came across these authors who were talking about Dr. I was able to say, bingo, this is the thing that I am looking for. And I was able to find something of value out of his writing. And ultimately, I myself also became an author. I hope that this story will also be able to inspire you that someday before you depart from this world, you need to leave the peace of your mind in the library. I love you. God bless you. Shalom.
I am not in the library that is available, but what my church is what my heart to share with you. So it all began in high school. I think it was around 17 when I was exposed to the activity that the library was offering. For this particular experience, we were part of a competition where we had public speaking, and a bunch of other literary activities. It was so amazing. We learned a lot, and also we made use of the public library book, which made use of the public library book, which contributed so much to my effort and improve my English as a whole, like generally to my account. And my experience and from there on, I basically use other resources to improve on my English and also develop my love for English and literature as a whole. Right now, the library has allowed me to use their premises to host my book club every month, which is honestly an amazing thing. It has allowed me to network with people who come from different backgrounds, but we are all like-minded, so it's amazing. And the stuff from the library is also very helpful in helping us with basically anything that we need with regards to the library or the book club. They have guided me a lot thus far, and it's been an amazing experience, honestly. And I hope that this video encourages you to also come to the library and see what it has to offer. Thank you. I am
it's all I can how the stories about the library. Library is now spirit of procrastination. Kalau the library sit down, but
Thank you very much. I hope you all feel, unfortunately, the sound of this last bit was not very clear, but I hope the people in the cloud can see that properly. And then I think I need to acknowledge, we did in the beginning, we acknowledged everybody because we're now in the session for comments, questions, and feedback. Perhaps we could change the layout that we could see everybody. I could just go to view and gallery. I hope we will be able to hear any questions. There's some chats, so let's have a look. Nambita, are you playing something about chat GPT? I don't know. Sounds like we're discussing on Nambita's. Can we hear Dr. Vantapoku now? Oh, we can hear you now. We are still on the slide of the presentation. Okay, So it looks like these are the old comments. So colleagues, can you please, if you have any questions from the audience, but also from the people that has joined us online and has been waiting patiently and silently to listen to what we've been saying today. So do you have anything in the session of this part of the session is comments, questions or feedback? So if you want to, please raise your hand. We hope that we will be able to hear you, or if all else fails, please chat your question in the chat box, please. Anything from the audience here?
Hello, Dora.
Yes.
Hello, Dora.
Yes, Muto, I hear you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, my question is, I want to refer my question to Dr. Margaret, but Matubako. Yeah, my question, what I pick up from her presentation is technologically based. So my concern, I just want to ask what will be the future of the library collection and publishers now that you are moving from the collection to online? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we still have the future when it comes to collection, because what we can do now, I think the National Library is already doing that, is to put everything on digital, so we don't lose anything. But the other thing that I learned when I was still studying, it was that most of the collections that we find that the library is holding is old. So maybe if now the libraries can now maybe do a needs analysis before they can do the collection development to find out what books can they buy which will be relevant to the diverse community of the 21st century. But I don't think we will lose the collection because of the technology. And then what was another question? The publishers. When I was also studying, I realized that one of the questions was that I asked the respondent was whether they do access knowledge published. There was any open access, and then they told me that no, most of the time when they want to access information, there were restrictions there. So maybe publishers can also try to work along with the catalogers when they do their acquisition, so that some of the collection that people can access in the Knowledge Commons can also be an open access, so that people can be able to use this collection in the future. But I don't think technology will also hamper the collection development or maybe the publishers, because remember that we still have people. When we check the racial group of people, we have people who are still reading, who are still believing that books are relevant to them. Yes, we do have others who believe that no, digital content is the one that is relevant to them. But I believe that we still have publishers as publishers, as librarians, and so forth. Thank you.
Well, I think you might not have heard the answer, but it was a brilliant answer. So I would suggest that you go back to the recording. I'm sorry, is anybody else experiencing the problem? Can you hear me properly? Thomas, can you just thumbs up if you've been hearing, please?
Yes, we can hear you, Medora.
Okay. Any other questions? Suspect.
It's not a question.
I'm just wondering. I want to refer to Ms. Margaret. You also touched a little bit on advocacy. Also talked about people asking if we are still relevant or not. That makes me sad. We've been talking about this for many years, even now. What are we not doing? Or what are we doing? That makes it difficult for people to know who we are, the contribution that we are making to the country. Maybe we should think about doing things different. Maybe the audience today shouldn't have been us because we are converted. In the audience, we should be out there where the people are and showcasing who we are and what we do. So I think it's urgent. I think we need to do it sooner than later. And make sure that people appreciate our profession. I mean, we have a doctor. So, and so at the environment, it says that is worth it. So let's go out of the comments. Make sure that we big voice, people know about us. There was a time at SALW where there was a concern about the imaging libraries. People were not studying that direction. What's happening? Let's think about this.
Thanks for that question. And I think perhaps today, well, we are sharing our stories, and perhaps it's opportune time to share with you what happened with us last year when we did our Librarians Day. Okay, in the academic campus, it's much easier. You have a sort of like a captured audience. So what we did was two consecutive days. One day we spent the Bloemfontein campus, and the next day we traveled to Belkom campus. So the Belkom campus came the first day to the Bloemfontein campus and vice versa. And we literally bombarded the lecturers in the classes, in the offices, wherever they were. We were telling them, do you know about us? Do you know where's the library? Yes, ma'am, yes, we know. There's a pamphlet, come and visit us. So yes, I think the impact thereof was quite brilliant. So that was definitely something as a story was sharing, but I do agree. This is something I was telling, we were talking about it the other day when we were busy with the SALW conference, and we were talking about the grain profession. When I started studying in the same building in 1987, we were talking that it is a grain profession, and it's still a grain profession. So where are the new people coming in? Where are the youngsters coming in studying library science? Where are their stories? Where are we see all these grants coming in from Margaret. You will be able to tell us these grants that's coming in from government side, from that. And it gives the incoming employees the opportunity to study. Is it working? Is that happening? I don't know if you want to answer. We put you on the spot.
Thank you, Dora. You know, the other thing that is killing us as librarians is the interference of other professions. Remember that, especially in the public library, for me to work in the municipality, maybe the entry level is the library. Then when I'm there, I realize that, okay, but now the level doesn't go up. Then I move, it's a scapegoat, then I move to another division. So it's like we are a training division, which is helping other divisions now to produce whatever they do. That is the first thing. The second thing is that we also should take our profession seriously. We should acknowledge that we are professionals. Because even if I also myself am guilty, even if we check the membership of NIASA, it's like we don't have the entire precinct people who are working in the library. It's only thin. And even for us, the public library is even worse. Because now, if we can check now here, most of the people who are here are the academic librarians. So we are also to be also, I think we should consider this profession and be proud of this, because we are empowering people. We are developing the human mind. So let's fight. The three of us can make an impact in the community. And the attitude, I remember I talked about the behavior. The other thing, remember that even here at the academic libraries, you have a student who's coming from Taban, who doesn't know anything about the river. The information is the face of the entire management, their reception. Because you find that when you come here, I'm looking for this book in the morning. Okay, you see the lift. Go to the second floor, first floor. When you are there on your left hand side, you know the second shelf, that book is there. If it's not, so you see that is the problem.
Thank you. Any other questions? Is there someone from the audience, online audience? Moses? Is there a question? Ask you, sorry.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, colleagues. I still want to echo the sentiment that some people were attacked, that we should take ourselves seriously. We must embrace who we are. I was saying to my colleague here at the UFS that we must put our nose in every person's business. Let us make mistakes and learn and be nuisances, so that at the end of the day, we are known, we are recognized. I mean, we are experts where we are sitting. People have to come to us. And sometimes you will think that they know. They don't. We know. So I think sometimes we have to be, I know people don't like the word radical, but I love the word radical. To put our noses in every, when you get an opportunity to market the library, it doesn't matter whether we are on a queue at the cafeteria or wherever. Take the opportunity. Market, changing lives is, it takes a simple step. The person right next to you can be transformed. So I'm saying, I'm echoing what Dr. Matibago said, let us take ourselves seriously and let us be ambassadors. Thank you.
Because I'm behind the scene. Thank you. Now, I just wanted to say that another important thing that we need to take cognizance of is the scholarship of information science. We forget about that, and it actually plays a very significant role to what we are talking about. It plays a significant role in influencing the younger ones to see information science or library science at special level. So now, because the scholarship is, I wouldn't say neglected, is not pushing enough, and the literature is not out there to make for our case. So we also need to, I'd say, play a significant role, make sure that we are out there, we are contributing with our scholarship. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I see our online audience are either stunned or blown away or just in awe about all the stories that we've heard. This is your last chance. Going, gone. Audience here in front of me. Any other questions? I can just share one last story from my side. And I know all my colleagues sometimes get irritated with me because I'm a storyteller. But the one story I want to tell to you today is one of my first academic conferences, I think, was on the 10th of October 2000. And that day, Sesh Patel, he was one of the managing directors of SALW, that's SALW, the company, not the library. And he said, He was so passionate that he motivated us out of our socks. And that day, the one sentence I will remember, just remember, you are not, so if someone walks up to you and they ask you, what are you? Oh, I'm just a librarian. No, you are not just a librarian, you are a librarian. So if nothing else comes out of this day, is that we should remember we are librarians. We should be proud of it. We must go out, tell our stories, irritate the people. I know me and my cell phone is always that showing students. I've catched him on a Friday afternoon as the library closes. But now I still want to borrow a book. Then I show them, go online. This is where you find it. So irritate the socks out of them and show them who we are. And that is also that I think for the public library, I think it is a challenge. Funding is a challenge. Staffing is a challenge. But what you've shown us today is a proof it can be done. Everything can be done if we apply our hearts and our minds to it. So if there's no other questions, feedback, comments, then I will give over to my colleague Matilda Smith, who will do the thank you, vote of thanks. So thank you for that. We have one last. Oh.
Afternoon, colleagues. I'm Matilda Smith, and I am the librarian of the Free State Legislature. Firstly, I just want to thank Dora. You were an excellent program director. You really made the program flowing very good, even though we had a few problems with our technical problems in the beginning. Then Moses, thank you for your word of welcome. We really appreciate that. Nambita, your purpose of the day. What I will take away from that, are we ready to preserve our stories? And when my grandmother was still alive, I always said she should write a book full of all her stories, and she never did that. So all those stories are lost to our family. So I think all of us should sit down and write our stories or preserve it in some way, because each and every one of us have a story to tell. Then I would like to thank Japta. Unfortunately, she's not here anymore. I wish I was so multilingual and so fluent. It was wonderful. And she said to us, take your time to tell your story. So maybe we should stop just talking. We should start telling stories. Our speaker of the day, Dr. Matubaku, thank you so very much. It was so interesting to hear your story about your studies, because sometimes my husband also did his PhD, and I know it's not an easy way or easy route, but sometimes we forget. We think, oh, how difficult it can be. And it's not just the studies that are difficult, it's all these other obstacles that you encounter on your route. Thank you so very much for that. What she told us is, we need to promote our libraries, and we should remember we are relevant. The most important thing is we need to find our relevance. Each and every library has a different kind of being relevant. So find your relevance and make sure you take it out to your members. Then it was the streaming of the stories, Nambita and everyone else involved in getting the stories, and the people telling the stories. Thank you so much for putting your stories out there. We really appreciate it. And I would like to thank the audience, our online audience, and the audience here. Thanks for your presence, and this will then bring us to the end of our day. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, colleagues, I think thank you very much for the online audience. I think it was hopefully worth your while. Okay, and we will share the video. I presume it will be done via the national office. So please listen afterwards. If there was some sounding challenges, please come and listen to it afterwards, especially the answer and repertoire that you've asked to Dr. Margaret, so please listen to them as well. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Sorry, our Facebook page.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, colleagues. What
Bye.
an informative interview. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, when?